Fight night at the Aurora Mall. Police make arrests, and an elected leader makes a surprising claim that the incident never happened. Affordable living in one of Colorado's most beautiful places. Don't think big, think small. If you have art inside of you waiting to get out, Denver has a pile of money waiting to pay for your talents. A Coloradan invents a fun game for all of us driving high-mileage cars around our colorful state. And our resident Star Wars geek remembers Carrie Fisher. Next. The Aurora Mall brawl never happened. So says the city councilwoman who represents that part of the city. As we examine the latest violent incident at a mall with decades of trouble, we're going to spend a bit of time on this tonight, and we're going to sort it out like this: the facts, the perception, and the bizarre claims made by the public official elected from that area of Aurora.
What happened in the past is in the past.
City Councilwoman Marcia Berzins would prefer that we not talk about the shootings outside the Aurora Mall this year, or trouble in prior years. But it was this claim about yesterday's mall clearing brawl that stopped us in our tracks.
There were no incidents. There were no fights.
There were no incidents. There were no fights. Aurora police say there was a fight, and an officer feared for his safety when he was flanked by an angry crowd of hundreds of young people.
He went to make an arrest of one of the juveniles that was actively fighting this other female. And at that point, he was surrounded in fear for his safety and put out a citywide call for help.
Councilwoman Berzins is making another claim that does not appear to be supported by the facts.
It happened in several malls across the country, and personally, I think we should be looking at who is doing this and how is this connected. You don't have 15 of these going on all over the U.S. without it being connected somehow, some way.
We do not have any evidence to show that our incident is related to any of the incidents that happened around the country.
Aurora Mayor Steve Hogan declined to speak with us today, so we don't know what he makes of the mall's troubles or the councilwoman's unsupported claims. So let's move from conjecture now to concrete facts. What actually happened inside the mall shortly before this time yesterday? Police told our Victoria Sanchez that hundreds of kids gathered after seeing a social media post promising a fight.
Sounds like it's a large group of juveniles that were causing problems for the officers already on scene, non-compliant.
An off-duty Aurora police officer working security for the mall saw two teenage girls fighting near the food court and went to arrest the 13-year-old. That's when her teen sister and friend allegedly tried to get involved.
So as our officer was trying to deal with these three females, he then became surrounded by a group of about 100 unruly teenagers.
He made a citywide call for backup.
For emergent assistance at the Aurora Mall, 14200 East Alameda Avenue.
At that point, every officer that was free in the city responded to the mall.
The call for help also brought in Denver police officers and Arapahoe County Sheriff's deputies when the crowd grew to 500 juveniles. A mall employee says he's never seen anything like it.
Code from 1442 Parker.
No, come back. Code from the same location. Baker 1 code from Quincy Watkins.
I'll be code from Strasburg.
Baker 11 out of the jail.
The crowd was forced outside.
They're going to be evacuating the mall.
And multiple fights started happening. It is winter break for schools, but Aurora police believe the large group of teens were there for another reason, besides just to hang out.
We received some information after this incident occurred that there was a Facebook post that announced that there was going to be a fight at the mall, and we believe that's what drew this crowd of people to be at the mall last night.
1 Baker 20, apparently they still have fights breaking out. Mentioned the courtyard.
4 out of the 5 teens arrested are girls. They face charges ranging from disorderly conduct, obstructing a police officer, and resisting arrest. For Next, I'm Victoria Sanchez.
Police tell us they haven't been able to track down the social media post to see it for themselves. They've just been told about it. The mall's management today released a written statement calling yesterday's fracas an isolated incident. Just how isolated? Well, again, there's fact and there's perception. Police tell us that they have 13 assault reports at the mall since the beginning of 2016 and 4 aggravated assaults, meaning that there was a weapon or a victim who was seriously injured. People who know and love that mall, or don't love that mall, know its history of trouble dates back decades. Our Steve Steger spoke with current and former Aurora City Council members who are split over how that mall is perceived.
I think it's a win for the city that it was handled professionally.
That is Councilwoman Marcia Berzins, who told us there wasn't a fight last night at the mall and believes whatever did happen was connected with incidents at other malls across the country. She also says the mall's recent brush with violence shouldn't be included in this conversation. You know, a shooting in March and another in August.
The shootings were in the parking lot. It didn't have anything to do with inside the mall. It was in a parking lot, and it could have been in any parking lot in the city, Denver. It doesn't matter.
Sure, but what about yesterday?
I think that our police department did a fantastic job.
So there's no perception issue in your mind?
No, it's not. I don't know why it happened here. It could have happened at any mall, anywhere, and in fact it did. For some reason, it happened at this mall. You know, maybe there are just not a lot of indoor malls like this.
I don't think you can just ignore these things. This is a very real issue. If you talk to a lot of families.
We reached out to former Aurora City Councilman Ryan Fisher about the issues at the town center of Aurora.
I still call it the Aurora Mall.
All right, we will too. Fisher says the hundreds of millions the owner of the Aurora Mall invested into a remodel, along with vamped up security, have helped, but the problems haven't disappeared, which has caused a perception issue.
At the end of the day, unless this is handled, you're going to continue to have a perception issue at the mall, which is causing, quite frankly, a lot of families to avoid going.
Our invitations stand for Aurora Mayor Steve Hogan and Police Chief Nick Metz to join us here, talk about facts versus perceptions, problems, solutions. We would like to hear your experiences and your ideas. You can get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext or email next@9news.com. People want to live and work in Colorado's mountain towns, and the work can certainly be found. It's the affordable housing that's been a long-time challenge. Perhaps it's going to take bigger thinking and smaller houses. Salida is getting a tiny home community, 200 small homes on permanent foundations. There will be a restaurant, which I'm told will be regular size, parks, also regular size, and a walking trail, which will not be pencil thin and tiny, but typically proportioned for humans. The homes will range in size from 260 to 427 square feet of living space. They're all rentals, 140 of them monthly rentals, and 60 of them will rent by the night for visitors and tourists. The president of Sprout Tiny Homes, the company building this community, says he's already heard from thousands of people who have expressed interest in living there.
So it's going to be very affordable, I think, for the local workforce. So we're going to bundle in utilities, rent, all that, get a brand new tiny home for, 40% less than what the current going market rate is in the Salida community.
What is less than half the going rate in Salida? Rent for the tiny homes will start around $750 per month, up to $1,400. That includes utilities. Salida signed off on the project. Construction is going to begin in the spring. City of Denver is looking to hand out more than $350,000 for new public art. Denver Arts and Venues are looking for 4 different artists to complete 4 pieces of art for the city. The city's looking for someone to create a portrait of former city councilwoman Carla Madison, who passed away. Some artwork for Denver's new rec center that's being built at Colfax and Josephine. Some kind of installation for Paco Sanchez Park near Federal and West Colfax. And original art for outside the building at the Denver Zoo. Applications are due by the end of January. If you're an artist looking for a project here in town, you can find information on the next section at 9news.com. That city art program is funded through a 1% set aside from the capital budgets of all $1 million+ city building projects. Carrie Fisher was a lot of things in her time in this world and in Worlds Imagined. A brilliant actress, talented writer, thoughtful advocate for mental health issues. And to the biggest Star Wars fan that we know, Steve Steger, she will always be a princess who defied boundaries.
I'll never forget the first time I saw Carrie Fisher. I was 9. She was a princess pressing a button on an R2 unit. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. From that point on, I was hooked. Funny, that was the only time you ever heard Princess Leia beg for help. She taught a 9-year-old boy that a girl could fight just as hard as the boys. Harder, actually. The most iconic images of Princess Leia usually include her holding a blaster with those buns over her ears. The Katniss Everdeens and Reys of the world probably owe a lot to Leia Organa, who wouldn't be Leia Organa without Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher was smart and funny. Her deadpan delivery as the revenge-seeking, scorned fiancé in Blues Brothers still cracks me up to this day. But I'll never forget the first time I saw Carrie Fisher. From a fan, thank you. The galaxy far, far away wouldn't be the same without you. Maybe Han's words fit best here. So long, Princess.
Welcome back. Windy, warm weather to round out 2016 and perhaps a little cold and snow to start the new year. I'm Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin and hope you enjoyed this beautiful day. It is a quiet evening in downtown Denver and really no big weather issues. Temperatures today trending above the average of 43, and we'll see that for most of this upcoming week. Wind, something we're tracking tonight. That means areas of blowing snow over the higher terrain. The jet stream coming in off the Pacific, bringing in cold air and moisture to fuel the mountain snow machine. Winter weather and travel advisories going out for about 3 to 6 inches of snow in the northern mountains. Lower elevations will be windy and dry. High and mid-level clouds coming in will keep overnight minimums up just a bit, and those areas of blowing snow mean that some of you may have some difficult travel around Aspen and Vail and up around the Breckenridge and Copper areas tomorrow. But the skiing will be amazing with additional light snowfall expected overnight tonight. And speaking of tonight, in Denver, fair skies, windy, cool, our low at 27. Tomorrow, we start off in the mid-20s, warm to the low 40s, very similar to what we saw today. And then temperatures continue at seasonal levels or slightly above heading into the upcoming holiday weekend. All the snow this week stays in the high country, but Denver has a shot at some snow early next week in the Monday to Wednesday time period. For now, all the snow and really the beautiful conditions way up high in areas like Steamboat. Enjoy.
Next question comes from viewer Francis Siliberti. Can you reuse United States Postal Service priority mail envelopes? I recycled one after carefully blacking out all references to priority to mail an item to a friend in Aurora. The Postal Service then charged the recipient for the envelope. What's going on? We asked the Postal Service about this, Francis, and to make it simple, priority envelopes have to be used for priority shipping. The Postal Service doesn't allow you to black out the priority labels and then use it for regular mail. You can reuse a priority envelope for priority mail, not for general mail. Postal Service expects to deliver 750 million pieces of mail between Thanksgiving and New Year's. So I get it. It's kind of a pain, but keeping things organized and uniform on their end helps us get what we have coming to us. If past is prologue, many of you are just finishing writing and sending out your holiday cards this week. It's all good. Never too late to send out a perfectly polished proof of your wonderful life. You know, family's bright, shining faces, happy poems with your kids' successes spelled out stanza by stanza. Or maybe this year, you've decided to get real, like Sarah Morley, who lives in Denver. No spouse, no kids, but she embraces the single life by featuring her dog Ted on her Christmas card each year. This year, she and Ted reenacted the scene from the movie Ghost, where Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze are getting cozy while making pottery. Sarah's card came complete with a sticker on the outside instructing readers to stop and begin humming the song Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers.
So far, I've been getting a lot of phone calls that I won Christmas this year. I'm pretty happy with myself. And I've been single for a while, and I love getting cards in the mail, so I figure Christmas time I can always make it something funny. So, like, last year my dog and I were drinking wine, and he begrudgingly, like, kind of went with it. But, yeah, I think my dog is actually going to file for divorce after this round of Christmas cards, but I don't care because I'm pretty happy with the turnout. I'm in my 30s, and people keep asking me, like, when I'm going to get married, and I'm like, you know what? I'm having a great time with my dog. So I'm going to recreate, like, a really great love scene from a ridiculous movie in the early 90s with my fat animal.
Yep, that wins Christmas. Unless you have a card that can top it. If you do, send it our way. #HeyNext or email next@9news.com. They see me rolling, but no one's hating. The Colorado quirk of the odometer spotted by a Next viewer. And the real story behind the paper sellers standing on sidewalk corners across our city. Next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is another nod to our state's seemingly singular way of celebrating every single little thing about living here. Like Anna Hilton and her Jeep, which just hit 80,000 miles. And somewhere along the road, Anna realized that each rollover of her odometer ticked off another Colorado zip code. So it's become a game that she plays. She tweeted to us with the #HeyNext saying 80112 Centennial, 80134 Parker, coming for you, 81003 Pueblo.
80,000 miles, a couple weeks ago,
And I didn't think much of it other than, that's always fun when it gets a round number. As it started creeping up, I started seeing the different zip codes on there. And the ones here around Denver are lower, so those are the ones that kind of came up first. When it turned to our zip code, I took a picture because that's what I do. And then, and then I just thought it was cool. There's so much else going on that you kind of have to, I think when something fun happens, you have to definitely stop and think about it and, appreciate it for sure.
All right, that's nerdy, but we like nerd stuff around here. Anna says she's always had a fascination with numbers. She even made sure that her wedding anniversary was on a great date. May 5th, 1995, 5/5/95. As we look back on 2016, the year Next got off the ground, we're looking back at some of the stories that really struck a nerve, judging by the piles of tweets, emails, Facebook messages. The best of Next. And tonight we reintroduce you to John Alexander. He's a vendor for Denver Voice, the newspaper that features the stories of the homeless. John is homeless himself, and he's one of many contributors to the paper who pick up those papers to sell by making a promise that they can keep the profits if they promise to be sober and friendly as they share their stories.
Support our homeless program. Small donation. Small donation.
Our mission is twofold.
There you are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are a newspaper, so part of our mission is to break down stereotypes about homelessness and poverty by starting a dialogue about homelessness.
Small donation.
And we do that in part by sharing the stories of people like John Alexander.
It's not the funnest day I've ever been out here.
And then our other mission is to provide an economic opportunity for people.
Here you go. Thank you.
He's become a big part of our community, and he's kind of become an ambassador for us as well. Regular writer.
The things people say by John Alexander. Sometimes he would come by and whisper in my ear, still ain't got a real job yet, freeloader. The guy was really dying. And that's why he had told me he was lashing out at me all that time.
I think a lot of people like to buy the paper because they know that they're helping an individual directly.
Support our homeless program.
They are also going to find some unique stories.
Biggest problem of homelessness is right now in this country, unemployment. Small donation. Homelessness is, like I said, there's nothing mysterious about it.
I've heard reports over and over again of the sense of self-confidence.
But thank you for reading it. I appreciate that.
And the sense of belonging to a community again that comes also from being a Denver Voice vendor.
Thank you.
We heard from viewers the first time we aired that story that they, like me, had walked past voice vendors a bunch of times, never stopped to talk, and they told us that they too would pause and hand off $2 and walk away with some new perspective. We are back next with a sign designed to be read by dogs. It's a sign, a bilingual one. Our first bilingual sign comes to us from Manitou Springs, and it reads, "Please pick up after your dog." And the sign continues, "Attention dogs, bark woof, bow wow woof." So now there's no excuse. Any unclaimed droppings are the mutual responsibility of man and beast, or woman and beast, like Angie Case, the next viewer who spotted this sign in Manitou and filled our mailbox, as so many of you do, with great signs seen around our state. Next at 9news.com is how you do that. Received a lot of feedback, including from Ryan tonight. People concerned that I might be under the weather because my jacket isn't very exciting. Ryan, solids are jackets too. Come on now. Can I tell you the crazy Christmas cards that we are receiving from people tonight? Unbelievable. And we are going to share a ton of them next time.